Welcome back to the channel, guys. This week we're going to be working on the Evo, and I'm pretty excited for this one. On my last video I mentioned that we were pretty much done working on the outside of the car. This is pretty much what I wanted the outside to look like, so there's really nothing else that I'm gonna do to it on the exterior. And I mentioned that I want us to start doing some performance stuff in the engine and whatnot. So we started ordering some parts, and we've gotten a lot of them already. As you guys can see here, we got a lot of exhaust parts. We got the downpipe, test pipe, and the O2 housing. So this is from ARTEC. And then over here we got some more stuff. We picked up this sway bar. We got this factory brake line that we need to replace. We got some mud flaps right here. We got some bushings here that we need to do, some maintenance parts. Down here we got a Y band that we gotta install. I also picked up an Evo 9 turbo, and then in here we got fuel pressure regulator, and then a coil unplug kit as well. Over here we got some more stuff. So we picked up a small battery with the STM tray. We also picked up an external wastegate so we can replace the one on the Evo 9 turbo. We got some new gaskets. Again, some hardware for the exhaust manifold and the O2 housing and the turbo. We also got a blow-off valve. We're waiting on the intercooler and the piping to get here. So when that gets here, we'll throw this on as well. And then here's the wastegate. So when the time comes to install these parts, we'll go ahead and focus on these a little bit more. But for now, what we're gonna be doing this week is working on the exhaust. I also ordered a FP exhaust manifold from STM, and I guess those are a special order and they take a while, so we're not gonna be receiving that one for a while. I was hoping to do that, the turbo and the exhaust all at the same time, but for now we're just gonna do the exhaust. I already have a cat bag, everything else is stock, so we're just gonna do, like I said, the downpipe, test pipe, O2 housing, and then the O2 housing has a bung right here, obviously for your O2 sensor, and then another one for the Y band. So once we put this on, I'll go ahead and wire the O2 sensor for the Y band, and we'll wire it and run it through the firewall and just leave it in place until I do the Y band. Alright guys, so quick update. I was gonna take the O2 housing out the bottom. There's one bolt that I cannot get to because I can't take the heat shield off. One of the bolts for the heat shield doesn't want to come off. So I was able to get pretty much all of the bolts loose for the O2 housing except the one on the side. So what we're gonna do instead is we're gonna remove the exhaust manifold, the turbo, and then bring everything out to the top. I wasn't gonna do this in this video because I'm still waiting on the FP manifold to get here. I do have the Evo 9 turbo, so obviously we're gonna go ahead and put that on in this video. There's no point in doing this twice. So we're gonna go ahead and get everything out from the top, and then we'll go ahead and put everything else on. We did get the whole downpipe and test pipe out from the bottom. So what I've done so far on the top was I removed this piece right here. The FP manifold doesn't use this, so once we get the FP manifold we can get rid of all this, but for now we're gonna have to put this back on. From there I've been letting all these bolts soak in some PB blaster. I was able to break a couple of them loose already. I'm just missing the ones on the sides. They're bigger. So those are 14s, so we'll go ahead and get those right here and right here. We'll crack those and then go ahead and pull the rest of these out. I believe I have new studs and washers and nuts for all this, and I was gonna put those on with a new manifold, but we're probably gonna go ahead and do that already, and then just have it ready for when the other manifold gets here. Alright guys, so we were able to get all the bolts off, all the nuts, a couple of the studs came out, so that's good. Makes it easier. We're gonna go ahead and start pulling these lines on the turbo. I already got the intake off, so we're gonna go ahead and get this guy, this one right here, there's another one back there. We'll go ahead and get the vacuum lines pulled off down there, and then on the bottom there's a couple more things we got to remove. The oil return is one of them. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get all that stuff pulled. Alright guys, so we pretty much got everything up top disconnected. What we're missing is the oil return right here. I'm gonna go ahead and just remove the top right up here, these two bolts, and then just leave the oil return in place. Alright guys, so it's the next day. We were able to get everything removed, and I was also able to get the turbo prepped. So here's the turbo, Evo 9 turbo. It's not a big upgrade, but it is an upgrade to the factory turbo. So we went ahead and got all the lines put on. We're gonna swap the wastegate with the Turbo Smart internal wastegate that we bought. Alright, so we got the wastegate mounted. Pretty simple. 2 bolts, a clip over there. That's about it. So now that we got this all hooked up and ready to go, we're gonna go ahead and get everything put back together. Like I said before, I ordered an FP manifold and it hasn't gotten here. So we're just gonna put the stock one back on for now. And then whenever that one shows up, we'll go ahead and swap them out. But yeah, we're gonna have the Evo 9 turbo going in with a new wastegate. We also have the ARTEC O2 housing over here, 3.5 inch O2 housing V-band with the 2 bungs. One for the Y band, the other one for the O2 sensor. We also got the ARTEC 3.5 inch test pipe and the 3.5 inch downpipe Currently we're running a Fujitsu cat bag. Came with the car when I bought it, so we're gonna leave that on for now and we'll see how that sounds. Alright guys, so I found these bolts that I ordered. Here's the ones for the manifold that go on the head right here, and then we have these brand new. These go from the manifold to the turbo. So we're gonna go ahead and get these replaced. We'll hold on to these till we get the new manifold. So that's what we're working on right now. We got a couple of them out already. So we're gonna go ahead and finish the other ones and get them all replaced. The easiest way that I find to do this is just to get two of the nuts that go on here. These are pretty corroded, so good thing we can go ahead and get them replaced. So yeah, I just take a nut, put it in the bolt, and then I'll take the other nut, put it right on the other side, and then you can tighten this outside nut, and then from there you should be able to just loosen up the bolt using the nut on the inside. There it goes. And then yeah, you just keep turning it so you can get the bolt out, and then you can go ahead and remove the nuts and then do it for the next one. Alright guys, so we were able to get the manifold on here, so all this is ready to go back in the car. I am gonna go ahead and put the O2 housing already, because I think it'll be easier to do it out here than inside the car. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and then we'll drop everything. Alright guys, quick update. It's getting pretty dark out, so we're gonna stop here for now. We got everything back in place. We got the manifold, turbo, the O2 housing. We got the wastegate on. We got everything torqued. We connected all the lines for the turbo except the oil return at the bottom. We haven't done that yet. So yeah, we're gonna stop here for today, and then we'll pick it up tomorrow. Alright guys, so another update here. We were able to get the O2 sensor on, and then we also put the wideband sensor on there. We did have to go buy a new O2 sensor because I couldn't get the other one off the factory O2 housing. So we went ahead and put a new one on there. We did bolt up the oil return at the bottom, and then like I said, everything else is bolt up and ready to go. So we're gonna go ahead and get the radiator put back on, and then we can finish off the exhaust. Alright guys, so we got the radiator back in. All the radiator hoses are on. The reservoir hose is on. We went ahead and plugged the fan. So now we're gonna go ahead and fill it with some coolant. I think it takes like 1.5 gallons. I have 2 of these, and then we'll burp it, and then we'll do our first start, make sure that everything's good, make sure we got no leaks and stuff like that. Alright guys, so we got everything ready to go, everything's hooked up, we got coolant in the radiator. So we're gonna go ahead and do our first start, just a quick start, make sure that, first off, just make sure that it starts, and then just give it a quick look, make sure we don't see any leaks, and then from there we're gonna go ahead and finish the exhaust. Here's that ARTEC downpipe, 3.5 inch, pretty cool piece. V-band to the O2. And then we'll do the test pipe right after that. All right, so here we go with the first start. for a little bit. I did not find any leaks or anything concerning. I went underneath it, didn't see anything down there either. So I think we're good to go. So yeah, it's starting to get kind of late, but we're gonna go ahead and finish installing the downpipe. Probably not gonna do the test pipe today, we'll do that one tomorrow, but at least we'll get the downpipe on. And then tomorrow we'll go ahead and finish everything up. So it's the next day. Last night we were able to get the downpipe put in, so that's pretty much everything that we need except the test pipe at this point. We also went ahead and painted this thing just for now until we get the new manifold. Yeah, I went over everything else again, all the vacuum lines, and checked for leaks again, and yeah, everything looks good. So we're gonna go ahead and finish up the test pipe today, and then that'll be it. So here's a better look at the downpipe. Very easy to install. It's just a V-vent clamp that goes up there to the O2 housing. It makes it a lot easier if you remove the lower intercooler pipe, whether it's a factory one or an aftermarket one. Just get that out of the way. It'll make it a lot easier to get that clamp on there. And yeah, from there it just goes straight back, and it's gonna use the factory hanger back there. Alright guys, one more update here. We're pretty much all done with the exhaust. We were able to get the test pipe on. Very easy install. It was a little bit tight to get it in between the cat bag and the downpipe, so I had to push the cat bag back a decent amount in order to slide the test pipe in there, but it does fit. Everything bolts up. Yeah, very easy to get it all on here. We did do a startup right after we got everything on, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of how quiet it got after I put the cat back on. Now this cat back does have two resonators right here, so what I think I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna remove them. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do a startup, a cold start video with the current setup, and then we'll do another video after we remove the resonators. So final thought on this new setup. I know originally I said I wasn't a big fan of it and it was too quiet, but honestly it's not too bad. I've had the car now for a couple of days with this setup, and I've been driving it around, and it actually sounds pretty good, especially from inside. So yeah, for somebody who's not looking for a lot of noise or anything like that, I would say that this is probably perfect. For me, I still do want it to be a little bit louder. I don't think that this is loud enough for my taste, but like I said, it does sound good. So what we are gonna go ahead and do is pretty much make our own custom cat bag. We're just gonna remove the Fujitsu exhaust that we have on there. I just think it's way too quiet for me. So I went ahead and I ordered an Apex, however you pronounce it, exhaust, and then one muffler. And then we're gonna go ahead and take it to our local exhaust shop. And we're gonna have them fabricate us pretty much just a custom cat bag with no resonators or anything like that. I've always been a big fan of the Apexi N1. I've had it on all my DSMs and all my other Evils. So we're gonna go ahead and put that on here. And hopefully it gives us the noise that we are looking for. And I know it looks good. It's a good looking exhaust. I think it's about the same size, at least the tip. That's what we have on there right now. So the looks shouldn't change too much. So once we have it installed, we're gonna go ahead and do another pretty much, you know, cold start video and a drive-by. And we'll go ahead and kind of compare the two exhausts. I know obviously the Fujitsu was gonna be a lot quieter than the Apexi, especially since we're just gonna be doing essentially a straight pipe all the way to the muffler here. But overall, like I said, I really do like the N1, and I figured this was the route that I was gonna end up at anyways. So yeah guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Like always, if you guys could like, share, and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. And I will see you guys on the next one.